for this conference going for a break. They did indeed go for dinner, but we now know that they are expected to resume the conference. They were told that delegates should be in at around 9 o'clock this evening, and I know that they were quite particular when it came to delegates coming in. We have seen delegates going into the main plenary hall by region because, of course, there was an issue a bit earlier on when it came to the guests who had occupied some of the seats. So now we know that the guests and some of the media will not be allowed inside because they will be in a closed session. But Temegile, we're still on the issue around the courts. We just saw that outcome at the East London High Court. And just to get reaction, we are joined by the ANC's Dakota Legoete. He is an NEC deployee here. It is some sort of a victory for the ANC. Of course, you are quite confident going into this court matter. What is your immediate reaction to what we have seen inside the High Court in East London?
Well, thank you very much once again for the opportunity on behalf of the ANC. As the ANC, we welcome this court ruling because it will go a long way in ensuring that we implement the last National Conference resolution of ensuring that we renew and unite the African National Congress. Part of rebuilding the structures of the ANC is part of the renewal process, of which we ensure that we build a formidable army of liberators that would ensure that we help our people to get out of the bondage of poverty. And any regression related to this conference would have been very costly, but besides, we would have suffered as the ANC a reputational damage in terms of our processes, including our attempt to promote internal democracy in the ANC, where in structures of the ANC, legit delegates and legit branches participate in the processes of the ANC. And so we welcome the outcome, and we are happy that the court was very clear that this is a self-created agency, and it became very clear that the applicant's application was a little bit chaotic. And I'm sure if they still want to pursue the matter, they can do it even beyond the conference. But so far, because the conference is on, we can't stop it. We have to complete the business of conference, and now we are going to resume conference. We are going to deal with credentials, and plenary will deal with them and all the delegates. And once they are properly adopted, we will then open for the nomination of the top 5 of the ANC in the Eastern Cape.
Dakota, every time the ANC has a conference, there is an issue around legal challenges. Are you not concerned as a movement that every time you have your own members trying to either stop a conference or trying to even block some of your members from not participating in conference processes?
Look, we are concerned as the ANC on a number of litigations which comes against our organization, despite the fact that we try to bring in the National Dispute Resolution Committee. We have tried to bring in some internal mechanism in terms of dispute resolutions, including the conference steering committees, which listens to branches. But we can't deny a branch a right to appeal, because you know, in terms of our system of democracy, we're a constitutional democracy. And in a constitutional democracy, the court is the final arbiter of any dispute in society. So people, whether you give them an outcome of the NDRC, of a dispute resolution committee, of a steering committee, when they deny and they don't want to accept, some of them will end up in the court, and we'll have to appreciate the fact that as the ANC, at all times we'll have to defend the ANC and her processes in ensuring that we build our internal democracy, but we renew and unify the organization. But again, as the ANC, we're a governing party with the burden of leadership generally to society, and in terms of the provision of basic services and amenities to our people.
This court outcome, we're now heading into another closed session. It is indeed the credentials. Does the court outcome now give way to have these credentials adopted? Because we know that credentials are usually a very tough one for conference, and they usually stop conference from going ahead. So does this court outcome also give way for this conference to be able to adopt its credentials?
It does give way to the conference to adopt credentials, because you would recall the applicants' part of their prayers was that some of the branches from Dr. Rubusana region were set up unconstitutionally, and they were not supposed to be here in terms of the interim order which was there. But so far, the court has found that there's nothing that stops those branches if they have met all the requirements of the ANC, if they qualify. So far, some of those branches will be here, not all of them. Others which could not qualify in terms of the ANC processes will not be here, but those that qualify will participate and will be part of the credentials once they are adopted by delegates in the conference. Because you know, in terms of the ANC constitution, a conference, it's a conference of delegates. So delegates have the powers to decide on the way forward, particularly related to credentials.
This conference is also running behind time. I know that you had said that nominations are also expected to be held tonight. Can we also expect the voting processes to also be underway tonight?
Look, depending on the speed and time, but so far we are ready to run throughout the night as the leadership of the National Executive Committee to ensure that we come here to support our provincial structures and our regions and our branches here to realize the opportunity to host conference so that they can renew the mandate of their leadership, including in terms of all policy positions and in terms of how do we assist the Eastern Cape on an economic recovery, recover from COVID, recover from all the challenges that we had of the floods and other related climate change challenges.